The NFL draft is often referred to as a science, a complex practical activity studying the structure and behaviour of the country's best collegiate athletes year in, year out. And in a sport that is designed to create parity through this system, it's vital that teams draft effectively. But there's a problem. They're not. In 2010, Datascope's Analytics finalised a study looking at the chance of a bust in the NFL. The study documents every single collegiate athlete drafted between 1960 and 2010 and applies Pro Football Reference's value score to determine their success in the league. The results are as you would expect, with first round picks averaging out at 18%, second rounders at 34%, and third rounders hovering at the 50% mark. This in general is a recipe of success for the league. Well, at least it was. 8 years later and the league has transformed. It's faster, it's flashier, and most importantly, trying to stay relevant at all costs. This battle for popularity resulted in rule changes that aided offensive play. Add the concern for player safety, such as the ban on helmet-to-helmet contact, as well as other aggressive plays being penalised, and it's become incredibly difficult for defences to stop teams from scoring. This offensive resurgence has left teams to prioritise the way they draft players differently, and it's hurting the league. In a recent interview, Atlanta Falcons general manager Thomas Dimitroff spoke about the difficulties of the draft process. He went on to say that according to our most recent statistics that we drew on the first round, only 56% of those players are starting in the league. Compare that to the 82% figure from the Datascope study, and it's clear to see that the way teams draft players has changed. Sticking with Dimitroff and the Falcons, they're a prime example of finding recent success in the draft, but in a hit or miss manner. In 2016, they topped the NFL in rookie playing time, with 2,638 snaps. But last year they had the fewest, with 903. This is because the Falcons take chances trying to find athletes who can match up against the spread offense.
Full of a lot of athletes, and that plays right into line with the type of system that Coach Quinn has in place. And it's important to see how explosive these guys are off the mark. Top-notch athlete with top-notch skills, movement, and we always talk about it being a matchup league. That's very important. Agility, quick twitch, explosiveness, that's really important for us. It had some athleticism about him as well. We have a lot of athletic guys on our offensive line.
The two traits the Falcons prioritise when scouting defensive players are their performance in the broad jump and the three-cone drill at the NFL Combine. The three-cone drill provides a baseline expectation for a player's change of directional skills, and the broad jump measures their potential for explosive plays. All of the defensive players the Falcons have drafted in Dan Quinn's first 3 seasons as head coach hit at least the 70th percentile in one or both of these drills. The reason the Falcons are so adamant on these traits is because they need a scheme that can try and match up against the spread offense. This style of play has made its way into the league over the past 5 years, and it's changing the way the game is being played, which in hand affects the draft process.
The middle of the field has been gutted, so nose tackle, big interior guy, old school, run down, thumping linebacker, and then that box safety type. Those guys are gone. It's turning and running in space, turning around and running in space, moving sideline to sideline. And so to play all 3 downs, you have to be a supreme athlete.
And the pocket breaks down the pass. Oh my goodness. It's gonna hurt.
Reggie Ragland is probably a great example. Former Alabama linebacker, All-American, old school, rundown linebacker with these accolades. It's monster tackle numbers, best in the nation, at the best school in the nation, the best conference in the nation, winning national titles. He gets to the NFL and the team says, not a first-round pick. Every team in the league says no, goes in the second round, gets traded early on because he just doesn't fit the prototype of what they need anymore. That old school guy is gone.
What's important to remember is that the sport is formed from the ground up. Old school guys are soon to be extinct because high school and college teams are simply not providing them anymore. Coaches are pressured to win football games at every level of the sport, and this results in systems that can generate wins at a young age, but players lack forms of transitive skills into the NFL.
Football is a bottom-up structure, so college gets whatever high school provides it. If coaches and systems and style of play across the country changes, they've got to recruit those players, so you have to adapt to that. And then the knock-on effect goes to the NFL. College has to change their style, and therefore the NFL gets what college provides it. So what you see teams doing is selling out for offense. High school coaches will get their 11 best athletes and put them all on offense. Defense doesn't exist anymore. And so when the evaluation goes on to the college level, you have these college coaches projecting wide receivers to play cornerback, running backs to play safety because they're not seeing any good defensive backs or defensive players. And it knocks on to the NFL. You're getting guys now, if they go redshirt 1 year, 2 years out of college, they've played the position for 2 seasons in their life. So the knock-on effect is all the way through.
This knock-on effect is why draft busts are at an all-time high. Evaluators are having to predict how a player's skill set can transfer into the NFL, and this comes with inherent risks. We know this to be true on the defensive side of the ball, but the same can be said for offensive players as the spread offense begins to find its way into the NFL.
The spread offense is the biggest revolution in football history. It is spreading the field to level the playing field. It's about getting guys in one-on-one matchups at any and all costs, and you push the ball to the perimeter to spread the defense out to make holes in the defense bigger. And then teams will option off at that, so it will be reading a defender. If he goes there, I go there. And so the defense can never be right. It's like, if you do this, we'll just do this. And what that does is, by making it one-on-one, is it doesn't matter if you have 11 great football players, we're going to have one who's really good. The best example is the Art Briles era Baylor teams. They had the best, by far, offense in the country and balanced. So you'd look at it on paper and say, explosive plays, dominant run game, aerial attack, putting up all kinds of yardage and points and leading the nation in every category you could go through. But then you look at them in terms of translating to the NFL, and what they do is just radically different. It was widen the field as much as possible. You would have gigantic splits between individual linemen, which is just a no-no in the NFL. Guys are too quick. And you would have receivers sleeping on one side of the field. They just wouldn't run routes. They would cut the field in half. They would pick pre-snap which side they were going to attack based on the alignment of the defense. And they would just shut down one half of the field so they could go faster and run a tempo that you just cannot run in the NFL because of the limited rosters, because of the game clock. It's just different in that regard. So you had that offense where they turned out Robert Griffin III, Nick Florence, Bryce Petty, Corey Coleman. I mean, some of those guys went in the first round and they can't get on the field in the NFL. I think the old school view that first round pick is instant impact player, second round pick is a rotation player, third round pick is a fringe player, and then you develop the younger guys in the 4th to 7th round. That's just gone now. It's all the same thing because the transitive skills just don't exist. So you still put more value in those premium picks, but if you're a fan and saying our first round pick must be the instant impact superstar, he should be going to the Pro Bowl every season, it's just not the case anymore. It's as much a crapshoot as ever, though they have more information. But it's going to be about which organizations get on board with adapting themselves to what's coming. Who does it quickest? Kansas City, Atlanta have changed the entire structure of their organizations to model college philosophies on both sides of the ball. And it's going to be just moving forward, which teams can adapt and maybe change their evaluation process given what's coming to them from high school and college.